And as the gun control debate continues in Washington, North Carolina representatives and candidates are weighing in on where they stand. News 13's Andrew James has their reaction to the bill.
With the Protecting Our Kids Act now through the House, it looks to face an uphill battle in the Senate. I talked to some of our congressional leaders and candidates about this legislation.
Every single person running for office should be upfront, clear, and honest about their position on these issues.
Jasmine Beach-Ferrara, Democratic candidate for NC-11 on the gun legislation making its way through Congress.
I think a critical piece is distinguishing between responsible gun ownership that's protected under the Second Amendment and how we take bold, necessary action as a country to implement common sense reforms that keep our kids safe at school as a starting point.
Beach-Ferrara's opponent, Republican Chuck Edwards, did not respond to a request for comment. In Washington, North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis says he's working on negotiations with Democrats.
What we're trying to do is come up with a framework that's a common sense response to the increasing risk that we have in schools and in our communities. I firmly believe that we're doing well with our negotiations and that we can put a framework together that will get strong bipartisan support.
Republican candidate for Senate Ted Budd released a statement saying, in part, instead of crafting serious solutions, House Democrats race to pursue gun control proposals that are unconstitutional, unworkable, and would not meaningfully address mass violence in America. Infringing on the rights of law-abiding citizens will not keep our communities safe. A spokesperson for Democratic candidate for Senate, Sherry Beasley, says she will review the legislation. Congressman Madison Cawthorn voted against this gun reform legislation. We did reach out to his office for comment, but we have not heard back.
There's only so much the police can do. This is a societal problem.
Asheville Police Chief David Zak is addressing what's on the minds of people across the country over an increase in gun violence.
News 13's Hannah McKenzie sat down with the chief today to see how our local numbers compare.
Gun violence hitting the country hard. Asheville, no exception, says Police Chief David Zak.
We do normally see an uptick in that sort of activity between April and June.
The average number of homicides within city limits, 9 or 10 a year, Zak says. Halfway into 2022, they're on number 8, 6 involving a firearm. And that is not the norm, says the 36-year police veteran.
Seeing 3 homicides within 1 week in a city our size with, the history of this city, that should shock people.
Laura Valdez Escalante now mourning the death of her 19-year-old son, Adrian Romero Valdez, shot to death June 4th.
Nobody stops the violence. And these little kids are just killing each other over nonsense.
Mountain Regional Arthritis Center riddled with bullet holes after a shooting June 5th.
I think this is just a random act from some cowardly punk with a gun.
Fortunately, no injuries reported.
Roughly 2/3 of our patients come from outside the Asheville area, and we've gotten a lot of phone calls. I'm not coming anymore. I don't like what's going on in Asheville.
And 51 rounds fired outside Walton Street Park June 6th.
We are truly lucky that no one was injured or no one was killed. Bullets don't have eyes. They don't know where they're going. They'll just land anywhere.
With officers leaving the profession at unprecedented rates, Zak says gun violence won't decline until societal issues are addressed and the cultural climate changed.
A lot of the same people who are saying defund the police are also advocating for stricter gun laws. Who's going to enforce it? If we have fewer people to respond, we're going to see more carnage in the streets.
Right now, APD are down 50% of their detectives. To compensate, cases are being prioritized. Zak says those at the top of the list are homicides and violent crimes, including gun cases.